So yeah, I looked really hard, and the only tech news I could find this week was Apple launching its new M2 Mega Pro Jimmy Jerk-off chipset. And frankly, I just can't. I'd rather smear my scrotum with tuna paste and go dangle my nads in front of a hungry hyena than bang on about a Mac Mini. Plus, of course, I can already guarantee you that YouTube is flooded with absolute twats pulling this expression or this expression over the title, OMG, M2 Max, this changes everything. Changes everything, does it? Does that mean it can actually run Final Cut without falling on its arse every 15 seconds, unlike the M1 Max then? So anyway, for mental health reasons, I've decided not to cover any overpriced Apple bollocks this week, and instead we're going to look at a topic which I kind of skimmed over last week, and that is the best, or should I say the bendiest, foldable phones coming up in 2023. Spin that jingle, Mr. DJ. Techspert Weekly. So later in the year, you can expect fresh versions of Samsung's foldable blowers, the Galaxy Z Fold and the Z Flip. The Z Fold 4 and the Z Flip 4 emerged in August 2022, so a similar launch schedule for 2023 seems likely. And while I'm not exactly Russell f***ing Grant up in here, you can definitely stick money on them being called the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and Galaxy Z Flip 5. And even though these phones won't be launching until the arse end of the year, that obviously hasn't stopped endless rumours from flying all over the internet like bottles of piss at a Machine Gun Kelly concert. Some of these so-called leaks are pretty obvious, like they'll come packing Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, or just like pretty much every other flagship phone this year then. Some are a bit more wild though, like how the Fold 5 may have an orifice stuffed with Samsung's S Pen stylus, just like the S23 Ultra. However, as far as the actual specs go, of course at this point it is basically just pissing in the wind. As far as I reckon, the biggest thing that Samsung needs to sort out for its latest generation of Galaxy Z phones is that crease in the internal screen, which still looks rather pants. If they could figure that one out and maybe slap on a screen protector that doesn't get horrifically smudgy as soon as your fingers touch it, well that would be absolutely bloody marvellous. Samsung should have some hot competition when it comes to foldable smartphones in 2023 though, possibly starting with the Huawei Mate X3. Chances are this will look remarkably similar to the Galaxy Fold, just like the old Mate X2, with an external screen that's over 6 inches for standard smartphone shenanigans, and an 8-inch monster lurking inside. Both of those should be poppy OLED displays with 120Hz refresh. And like other premium bendy blowers launching in 2023, you can of course expect beefy performance from that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. And hopefully Huawei can squeeze in a slightly bigger battery as well, compared with the 4500 mAh effort that was in the Mate X2. Of course, as this is a Huawei branded smartphone, that means no googly goodness on board, which is likely to put off a lot of potential buyers. And who knows if it'll even be launched here in Blighty, not this follically challenged fool, that's for damn sure. However, we do already know that Oppo's cute and dinky Find N2 Flip will be launching here in the West, most likely sometime in February. This sports a similar form factor to the Galaxy Z Flip, so it's a lot more pocket friendly and not such a hefty bugger, while also upgrading that external display to a proper sized 3.3 inch panel. This should prove a lot more useful than the Galaxy Z Flip's weeny little screen, allowing you to respond to messages more easily and also quickly access any apps with a single hand when you're on the go. Something that you could kinda do with the new Motorola Razr, except that Oppo's bendy blower has a regular portrait design rather than this here squished landscape effort that some apps really just don't get on with. Oppo has somehow managed to stuff a 4300 mAh capacity battery inside of the Find N2 Flip. Pretty impressive considering how dinky this phone is, while the power is provided by a custom version of MediaTek's Dimensity 9000 Plus chipset. So hopefully you've got enough grunt to get gaming or do whatever you've got to do with all-day battery life to boot. That main camera is Sony's fresh IMX890, which Oppo has slapped on quite a few of its recent phones, and you can use that external screen as a handy viewfinder for selfie shenanigans. Great stuff. And hopefully later in 2023 we'll see a fresh new version of Vivo's X Fold smartphone, although this was updated just last September in the form of the Vivo X Fold Plus. Vivo hasn't actually bothered to release the X Fold handsets outside of China sadly, so don't expect to clap eyes on the X Fold 2 anytime soon, even if it does launch over there in the coming months. But specs wise, you can once again expect that 8 Gen 2 plus a gorgeous 2K AMOLED internal screen and a 50 megapixel IMX866 camera. And hey, pulling on my optimism pants for just a second, we might actually see Google's Pixel Fold at some point in 2023. This thing has fast become an urban myth, kind of like the Loch Ness Monster or a sober Scotsman. Just when you think the bug has been completely cancelled, up pops another report saying actually no, it's just been delayed a wee bit, no worries. And while pretty much everyone agrees that the Pixel Fold should be a bendy book-style device similar to the Galaxy Z Fold, pretty much every other leak that emerges contradicts another rumour that came out just a week prior, so frankly you might as well just make it up yourself at this point. So yeah, the Google Pixel Fold will excrete a special musk that scares away nearby feral badgers, and it can actually be folded into any shape you like, including an origami swan to amuse dinner guests. Actually, you know what? Those optimism pants are coming right off again. Back on with the grumpy old Git pants, which are a lot more comfortable and frankly don't stink quite so bad. No, I don't reckon we'll get a Pixel Fold this year. Maybe Google will tease some shiz at its I/O event, as some tipsters reckon, but personally I think the best we'll get is a fleeting glimpse at the Pixel launch later in 2023. So there you go, that was some extreme bendy blower action, kiddies, and now it's time for the part of the show that's generally about as welcome as Prince Harry at Buckingham Palace. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Speaking of that, Harry lad, I was in a bookshop the other day, not really sure why, I think I must have just been half cut and wandered in mistaking it for some podsy hipster bar, and they had bloody stacks of the Prince Harry autobiography on tables all over the place with massive signs, half price, so clearly that's selling well. And then I clocked that even at a half price, it cost 14 bloody quid. And using the immense powers of my brain, I figured out that was £28 full price. 28 quid for a bloody book. What is it, printed on gold leaf and bound together with Meghan Markle's on pubic hairs? Anyway, just a little rant that's got naught to do with anything, but on a similar subject, my books, Amazon, 99p, some of them are even free. You can get the whole bloody lot of them for the same price as one book from some mopey rich lad. Anyway, let's actually do some viewer comments, shall we? And let's kick off this week with Tiger May Fury, hey Tiger May, who says, "Hey Chris, if your New Year shenanigans didn't go as planned, then have yourself a New Year do-over with Chinese New Year." I know, it's pretty decent, cheers. I mean, I'm an old twat now, so don't bother going out and partying with the young'uns or anything like that. Basically, I had a couple of old uni mates round. We got stupidly drunk on ridiculously strong crafty lagers and a good bit of whiskey action, and then spent the entire night just trying to beat a single level of the new Battletoads game on Xbox. So that single level took us until 1 AM, and that included liberal use of cheat codes. I had to concentrate so hard I almost had a bloody stroke. But yeah, certainly we'll crack open a few tinnies for Chinese New Year as well, because, you know, any excuse. Next up, Jeffrey says, watch... Ooh, what was that?
Here you go.
Oh, that's just Alexa being a tit. Shut up, you piece of crap! Jeffrey says, watching you all the way from USA, Utah. I've got to admit, I know absolutely bugger all about Utah, other than it's somewhere in the middle, potentially, and it looks very outdoorsy for people who like exercise. Sure, it's very lovely though. Hope you're having a good one, Jeffrey. Next up, Joel says, don't feel bad about your small head. It actually suits your thin wrists. Oh, you guys.
You fucking guys.
Mike B says, I thought Mr. Wanksock did the editoring. I mean, he couldn't do a worse job, to be honest. Colin McKenna says, Bailey's and Tia Maria is a baby Guinness. Oh, that can 100% take a run and jump off a cliff right into a skip floating in the sea. Seriously, just a sniff of Bailey's and immediately that'll have me gagging on the pavement. I had this great headline flash up on my Google News feed the other week. It was something like, warning issued as Bailey's could damage your plumbing. And I thought that what they meant was that drinking that sugary, milky pish would just knacker your guts. And I was like, well, that's not really news. I've lost count of how many times I've been at a party and I've absolutely destroyed their toilet because the last remaining drink at the end of the night was half a bottle of curdled Baileys. But then I realised the article was talking about actual plumbing, as in don't pour Baileys down your sink because you could wreck your pipes. And frankly, if that stuff is that bad for metal pipes, what do you think it's doing to your fleshy innards? Next up, Tony M says, here's a friendly cheers from the US. We'll be sticking with my S21 Ultra instead of any of the 2023 blowers. Yeah, fair enough, because the S21 Ultra weren't exactly cheap, so probably a good idea to stick with it as long as possible. And of course, Samsung's got the decent updates and everything. Darth Guantai says, I've not seen the S23s, but I'd very much want the Ultra. You seem too sober for your weekly report. Yeah, I was dead sober last week and this week. In fact, don't worry, I'm not doing dry January or any stupid bollocks like that. I mean, why would you deprive yourself of alcohol in the worst, darkest, most depressing month of the year? It just makes no bloody sense at all. I just shot it first thing in the morning, as I am shooting this one first thing in the morning as well. And, you know, I like a drink, but not so much when I can still taste the toothpaste. So lots of correspondence about some of the new smartphones that are coming out in 2023. Derek says, can't wait for the OnePlus 11. Well, might have some tasty video action for you there soon, Derek. Mark124 says, I love everything about the Xiaomi 13, but I would be worried about the updates. If it got around 3 years of updates, I'd definitely go for it. Well, the good news is that Xiaomi seems to be turning a corner there. So with recent flagship smartphones, they've offered 3 years, I believe it is, of OS updates and around 3-4 years of security updates as well. So pretty damn good. Of course, how frequent those updates will come, especially after a couple of years or so, that's an entirely different matter. Jules says, I heard that Motorola are bringing out the Think phone. Yes, they are indeed. It is a business phone for business people, aka suit wankers who push pregnant women aside on the tube to grab the last remaining seat before spreading their legs so wide you can practically smell their pancreas. And they launched it out at CES, so I hopefully will get a chance to cover it at some point, but as it is a business related thing and not a consumer thing, it's not going to be high on my hit list, that's for sure. Chow says, on New Year's Eve I lost my phone and I bought the OnePlus 10 Pro this week, and I don't understand why so many people were bitching about it. This phone is amazing, and it also has the alert slider. Yeah, I'm not really sure why OnePlus attracts quite so much vitriol these days. Ooh, listen to me, posh twat, attracts quite so much vitriol, why everyone slags the off on me. But yeah, the OnePlus 10 Pro is a solid all-round flagship smartphone. I'd happily use it every day. Only thing for me is that it kind of feels like it's lost its sense of identity now that Oxygen OS is essentially just Color OS, slightly rebranded. It needs to do a little bit more to stand out from the crowd, besides of course the rather lovely alert slider. So KD says, I'm still using my great OnePlus 8T. I can't wait to get the Pixel 8 Pro though. Hope you're the patient type, because it's going to be a long while until that one comes out, but at least you're enjoying the 8T, so all good. England Colin says, I think the Note 12 Explorer is a China-only release. Poco are set to launch the Poco F5 Pro, which is the Redmi K60, the X5 Pro, which is the Note 12 Pro Speed, and the X5, which is the Note 12. That F5 Pro will be the first Poco with wireless charging. Yeah, just a wee bit confusing, especially when I have to review dozens of these bloody things every time. I just wish that Poco would do its own thing and not just rebrand Xiaomi smartphones constantly, especially Redmi phones that are actually coming out in the UK anyway, thus rendering it completely pointless. Void says, are there any rumours about the pricing of the Redmi Note 12 Pro or the 12 Pro Plus models? Bugger all that I've seen, unfortunately, but hopefully they'll come in at under 400 quid and be really strong rivals to the likes of the Pixel 6a, the Nothing Phone. You know what, I reckon that 2023 is going to be a bit of a banger when it comes to those affordable mid-range phones again, which is just as well because no one will have any f***ing money. Itunu says, I'm going to second the collab shout. Spurty and Flossy would be a smash hit. Flossy got me to buy the Devoom Voom box. That's a cracking name. Devoom Voom box. What even is that? It was really great, apparently. Yeah, I've never actually met Flossy before, but I've met quite a few of the US tech YouTuber guys on these geeky international launch thingies, and yeah, cracking bunch of lads. Now last week we briefly touched on how Chinese manufacturers often don't put the number 4 in their smartphone name, so for instance the Realme GT Neo range skips straight from 3 to 5. And Ben Knight is just jumping in here with some reasoning behind that. Apparently Japan has a similar rule due to their original word for 4 being shi, which has the same pronunciation and romanized spelling as she, which means death. And David Davis also adds specifically Shinu means to die. So yeah, kind of understandable that manufacturers might not want to name their new smartphone the Realme GT Neo You're Gonna F***ing Die. Might slightly put some punters off, although I would be very interested to see the marketing twats come up with a decent ad campaign around that one. Be some proper Final Destination shenanigans. Jay Bayford says, come for the tech, stay for the James Corden and Mrs. Brown's boys hate. Top lad. Others Sing Pure says, you convinced me to get the iPhone 13 mini instead of the SE. Good choice, certainly. I have to say, the best phone ergonomically, the battery life is surprisingly good for a sub 3000 mAh battery. Yeah, solid choice. That's easily the best of the recent iPhones, and yeah, I was impressed by the battery life as well. A hell of a lot better than that SE model, which basically dies after you so much as send a couple of tweets. I was just gutted when Apple decided it couldn't be bothered with the mini phones anymore. It's just going to shit out oversized bricks forevermore. More iPhone SE shenanigans. Claire 2013 says, thank you for being the only reviewer that tells the truth about the iPhone SE. I used to subscribe to all the top phone reviewers but unsubscribed after they all praised the iPhone SE. It is like something from the dark ages. yeah, I'm personally surprised it didn't just send faxes. James Kingman says, I know the cost of living is tough at the minute, but give that kitty cat some whiskers unless the pussycat is vegan. I assume you're referring to my cat last week just deciding to chow down on all of my lovely decorative desk plants right here. That bloody cat eats better than I do, let me tell you. It won't even eat the bog standard Felix stuff. We have to get it the as good as it looks Felix, which frankly it still looks like what it is, minced up ass, but little thing eats like a bloody king. I actually got someone here as well, sorry if I again bollocks up this pronunciation, Anika, saying, hey Uncle Spurt, your cat probably likes eating the spider plant, the one it was munching on in the video, because it has a similar effect to catnip. I did not bloody know that, so that fluffy little git is basically getting his jollies by munching on my desk shrubberies. I'm going to have to rethink that. I'm going to have to get some cactuses or cacti or whatever. I mean, look at it. It's seen better days, that's for sure. Anyway, massively running out of time now, so really better make this the last comment for this week. And Griff says, I'm just wondering if this guy has need for a roomie so I can try out all of these great phones. We're kind of limited in the States thanks to the elected blowholes. If you bring along a suitcase full of booze and you're happy to kip under the desk, then I'm sure we can arrange something. Anyway, a massive thank you to everyone who commented last week. Not too many techie ones, thankfully. A few more than I would have liked. Try and keep it a bit more lowbrow next week, please. But yeah, please do smash your comments down below and we'll get our way through as many of those as possible in next week's show. And speaking of next week,
this is about next week.
So no launches in the tech calendar that I can see for next week, but I've got plenty of stuff piling up for review as always, including the Fire TV Cube from Amazon, that bloody thing that piped up earlier and interrupted the whole f***ing show. Great job. I'll also be bringing you a bit of PS5 peripheral action on Monday. Exciting times. Hopefully an Acer Chromebook as well. All kinds of thrilling shit. So definitely please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you haven't done already. Don't want to miss all of that. A massive thank you for watching this sack of wank all the way to the end. Yeah, we got sound levels again, excellent. So apparently even my microphone got bored of listening to me bang on, so I'll take the hint and I will bugger off. So have a great weekend everyone, love you.